All right, we're going to start with a side-to-side bend. So start with the legs wide, shoulders back and down. And let's slightly tuck the bottom under. So we're already thinking about those core muscles. And we'll just start with a straightforward side-to-side glide. So finding that stretch down the side of the body. You don't need to set the arm overhead just yet. You can even just give the side of the body a little bit of a rub here. And then back up to standing over to the other side. You always want to pause just long enough to get that a little bit of give in the stretch. You can either keep it the same or hold the shoulder and lift the elbow up to the ceiling, glide into the side. Breathe deeply, stretch, enjoy. And the other side, we'll do one more round with the option of taking the arm all the way overhead. But if this is a good enough stretch for you, stick with this. So the arm all the way overhead if you wish. Stretching into those fingertips, tempted to bend the elbow. See if you can keep the arm straight and then see how far over the head it will go. Over to the other side. Stretch into the fingertips. And then we'll take a nice gentle swing around the waist, starting with the arms quite low down. So soften the knees, lifting the back heel so we're not pulling on the knee. Starting to lift the arms a bit higher, palms facing upwards. All the way to the top. So you really feel the shoulder blades spinning around the spine. And back down again. Using kind of wrist mobilization from the animal flow discipline of movement, we're going to think about having a magnet between the wrists. So if we start with the insides of the palms together, and it's very easy just to flap the arms around. See if you can have the discipline of actually watching and see if you can spread the fingers, getting the backs of the hands together. Let's do two more on this side. And then take it the other way. Also working into the shoulders, the elbows. Again, and then we'll do kind of like a Mexican wave with the wrist. You just give them a shake out. If we take the arms in this flat position, interlacing the fingers, and let's think about if I mirror you, so this is your right forearm, lift it up, so we're getting that work into the fingers, and then this top hand, the right finger is almost dragging the left fingers up into a circle, and that completes the wave. And we're back to the beginning. So lifting the right, kind of slightly across to the left, dragging it around that circle, and then back down. Don't think too much about it. You just want to feel that work into the wrists in a nice flowing way without pulling. So if we get to a point, if there's an area where it feels like it's not gliding, you want to just come just within that so we find a nice range of movement. We're going to have another one in this direction and then change the cross of the fingers. Let's lead with your left forearm coming up and slightly across the body for more of a stretch on the front of the hand, back of the hand. So leading with the left, letting it flow around. This is because we're going to take a roll down to a plank, to a down dog. We want to make sure the wrists are ready. So the next one before we do that is then thinking about the shoulders. Same kind of idea of a roll, but let's think about how we use the shoulders. Hand by the side, if we lift the shoulders up to the ears, and then elbows out to the side, but then drop the shoulders. So just try that again. Lift the shoulders, then drop, lift the elbows. Now, as if you're painting the wall with the back of the hand, open up the arms. So now hands are parallel to the floor. Now leading with the elbows into the waist, paint the hands down. So it's a lift up and a spread, elbows down, and we stretch the palms of the hands. So lifting, expand, elbows in. So if we did this movement, don't worry if it doesn't look exactly the same. Let's just go through it again. Shoulders up, elbows wide, extend the arms, flip the palms to face the side walls, leading with the elbows, shoulders back and down. few repetitions of this, so quite quickly thinking, hello shoulders. Couple more rounds. Last one, and then shrug out. So for the spine, roll down, chin to chest. We've got the feet under the hips, letting the shoulder blades fall apart. That lovely stretch down the back of the body without forcing. Taking your time to come to that ragdoll fold, just checking in with how the hamstrings are feeling today. And then bending the knees enough that we can pace the hands forwards and let's meet in a plank. Now, it's fine to lower the knees, but have a go at lifting the knees. Now, tuck the bottom under. With the spine, let's think about keeping the arms straight, first of all, and then keeping the spine up in line with the shoulder blades. Thinking about corkscrewing out the arms so we open the shoulders wide across the collarbone. And then let's take it to a down dog. So send the hips back, pedal it through from one foot to the other. And then we pace the hands back. So we're going to do 2 more rounds of that, taking a time to rebuild the spine from the base up at the top, rolling the shoulders back and down, straight away, chin to chest. Rounding down, coming into the forward fold, pacing the hands forwards, finding a plank, high plank or a knee plank, zipping up your abs, straightening the legs. So we're in the knee plank, we can take it in turns to extend one leg, so we get that stretch into the legs, and then take it to a down dog. Option, of course, here is taking an extended child pose. Let's all meet in that pacing back for a roll up. So this is using that principle of that's talked about in the align method. My head's going crazy. Just have a go with another one. I'll join you, catching up, chin to chest, rounding down. Aaron Alexander, he writes about the align method, and this is so much about getting down to the floor and getting up again. Just to keep all the joints really mobile. Let's take it back to a down dog. So even if you're resisting, thinking, oh, we're going to get down to the floor again and up, you know, embrace these opportunities to get down to the floor again because it keeps us mobile. Rolling up through the spine. Wonderful, last time. Chin to chest. Find the floor. Pace it forwards. Your version of plank, but let's zip up the abs. Think about spinning the creases of the elbows forward, so externally rotating the upper arms, zipping up your abs before taking it to a down dog, facing it back and rolling up through the spine. All right, we're a little bit warmer. Let's take the legs wide, knees out, and hands on the knees. Let's take a twist, shoulder towards the opposite knee, inner thigh stretch, spinal twist, twist, maybe look over your shoulder, and then take it to the other side. So I'm actively pressing into the thigh to give me more of a twist in the spine, more of an opening in the hip. Last time each side. Last side. Okay, so now we've warmed up the legs. Let's think about like a Pilates plie into a balance. So if we bend the knees, then weight into the right foot and see if we can then lift the left knee. Back to our wide-legged position, a plie, weight into the left leg, a little bit of a balance here, knee up. So let's take it side to side. Don't need to worry about arms for now. Great. Let's try and use an out breath as we lift the knee up towards the elbow. So we can breathe in here and then use that out breath to pull in the core and come down. Up we go again. Side to side, your pace. In, out. Amazing. Still with the legs wide, we're taking the flowing extended side angle. Let's turn the toes out. Let's take a bend into the right knee and lift the left arm right up and overhead. That same arm overhead in front of the body. Stand up tall, turn the other toes out. Reach overhead. So we're just taking it side to side, trying to keep the feet moving in the right direction, so the knees and toes keep pointing in the same direction, and let's flow the arms. Who wants to take the arms out and just concentrate on the legs, the right toes turned out, bend, feet return, left toes turn out, bend, return. So the opposite arm overhead. Here, just hoping to get the heart rate up a little bit, continuous movement. Big movement with the arm, occupy space, stretch into the fingers. Once we're excited, then we're going to change the emphasis of the stretch. So here we take our extended side angle legs to this side. Now with this left hand, let's take like an offering arm out, like we've got a heavy book on the hand. This right elbow opening the hip here, the left palm reaching up behind you, shoulder down. Coming center, change the legs. Knee opening to the side wall. Taking that open twist. Breathe in center, breathe out. So here we're working this opening in the chest, so really feel the shoulder back and down. And it helps thinking about a big weight on the hand so we don't roll the shoulder forward. So once you find your flow, just taking it side to side, once you're working into the waist, the legs, everything. Even taking your gaze, we're working the neck. We're going to weave in the breath, so breathe in center, breathe out to the side. Have further benefits, activation of the parasympathetic nervous system. Last time each side. All right, back to yoga. If we think Trikonasana, let's start with the right toes turned directly to the right. This left hip, dial it down a little bit. With your right arm, stretch to the side wall, flip the palm to face forwards, and then back of the hand on the inside of the leg, and let's take the side bend. So coming up, let's just think about that again. The legs are in place. We reach to the side wall, and then hinge. If this is fairly comfortable and feels doable, we can lift the top arm. So we come upright, breathing in. So this hip kind of dials down here. We reach and fold. Breathe in up to standing. Breathe out, lean and fold. If you've got your balance, you can think about looking up at the top hand. But it's really kind of icing on the cake, and it may be icing you just never want because it's just not helpful for your neck. So just shying away from that if that's just not for you. You can even just look down at the floor throughout. Let's take it to the other side. So this time, left toes out to the side. Establish right hip down a little bit, reach for the side wall, palm towards me, and then let's hinge. Breathe in to come up. Breathe out, lean, hinge. Got your pace. Want to feel secure in these movements. If you feel like you're hyperextending or too much of a stretch to the back of this front knee, you can take a little bend into the knee, and that's fine. Nearly done. Couple more. Even ourselves out. Shoulders back and down, particularly as fatigue starts to set in. Very easy for those shoulders to start to creep up. This is the last thing standing. So give me 2 more of these. I'm going to lower the camera and we'll get ready to come down to the mat. good to go. Okay, so when you're ready, settle yourself down. Let's bend both legs, both knees so the legs are out to the right. We're going to start with a side-to-side flow. So find where you feel comfortable. Just master it. You can mirror your right hip bones up a little bit in the air. Let's have left hand to the floor and sweep the arm over and take it side to side. Breathe in, center, breathe out. Side to side, no forcing. Just feel like you're carving through the air, occupying more space, shoulders down away from your ears. Good. Another one. Then we take a twist. So this hand, left hand to right knee. Use holding on to whatever you can to look over your shoulder. And then the counter twist, right hand to the left knee, look over the left shoulder. Let's take that once more each side. Take hold and swivel. Bringing out the waist, taking it over to the other side. So you can get your chin tucked into the chest, long through the spine. And then come center. With weight into your left hand, let's think about this right leg. Hold on to your hip and let's waggle the leg. So the back knee lifts and lowers with no movement to the pelvis. So this press to the hip staying in exactly the same place. So we'll lift the knee up to the ceiling and then back down to the floor. So go for roughly 10, but if you want to go a little bit slower, that's fine. We'll all meet at the same point. So see if you can stabilize in the core, the rest of the body, so the only movement is in that hip joint, so the thigh bone within the hip socket. Shoulders down. Last two, and then we take a seated twist. So working deeply into the glutes, all of the hip muscles, where we're really targeting them, because if we weren't careful with the pelvis, this wouldn't be working deeply into that hip. So last one, really concentrating on the movement into the hip. And this active leg, let's place the foot on the outside of the other knee and take a seated twist. So this is one of those ones where if you want to extend that lower leg, that's fine, that works just as well. So if you can, you bend the bottom knee. All these dark clothes, can you see? So anyway, right leg on top. Let's use the opposite elbow to hug into the chest. And then we can gently rock from sit bone to get a nicer, deeper stretch into the hip. This back shoulder, roll it back and down. And if you wish, the fingers can place on the floor behind you, look over the shoulder. Nice soft jaw. Wonderful. Now, wherever you are in this twist, whether the leg, bottom leg straight or bent, let's see if we can take this top foot a little bit closer into the hips and come into a fold. So if that's in a seated twist position, they'll be coming more into a kind of cow face pose into that fold. So find where you can work a little bit deeper into those hips and just get a nice level of sensation in the hips. So again, we can extend that bottom leg. We come onto the top of the foot here and allow us to come into a fold. Breathing deeply. We have 3 recovery breaths here before we go on to the other side. All right, no sudden movements. Come on up. Let's fan the legs over to the left. And let's take that side to side flow straight away, side to side, shoulders back and down. Think about how we should probably stretch first thing in the morning instead of tumbling out to bed. So we're making up for it now, waking up all the joints, stretching right into the fingers. Shoulders nicely down. See how we're swaying the head side to side. So sudden jerking movements for the head, neck. Let's take 2 rounds of twists for the spine in each direction. Hold on to the knee, doesn't matter which side, we'll do both. Taking a twist, looking over your shoulder. And then taking it to the other side, holding wherever makes sense for you to get a counter twist. Once more each side, and then we're onto that thigh wiggle. Last of the twists. And then let's use this hand to stabilize the hip, and let's lift the knee. So if we squeeze the glutes, pull in your core muscles, and just test or be curious about your range of movement in this hip. We don't worry about the foot lifting, we're rolling from the inner edge, the outer edge of the foot. It's all about that movement within the hip joint, trying to keep the pelvis in the same place. You know, I should be getting a little bit of fatigue in the muscles. We rarely work in such a focused way when we're strengthening the hip muscles. Good stuff. Let's squeeze in 3 more of these. Now we're taking that seated twist. All right, so remember the options. You may not need the same options on this side. Let's have a go at placing the foot on the outside of the lower knee. See if we can get the sit bones on the floor to hug the knee in. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and extend that bottom leg. Your back hand can be there on the floor for support. Let's start to draw the knee towards that opposite armpit. So we add on that spinal twist whilst rocking and leaning into this left hip to get a greater stretch. Wonderful. Take another breath here. And then into your version of a fold. So maybe just the head comes to the knee. Maybe you stack the knees. Maybe you extend the lower leg. Doesn't matter, it's just changing the stretch. You'll feel it in different places. So hands can be on the floor, you can stack the fists. But let's just take a recovery, couple of breaths here. Letting the head droop, and breathing steady. So, got a little challenge on all fours. If you need to make fists instead of your hands, if you need to rest the wrists a little bit, that's always an option. If we come into consider an all-four position where everything's nicely spaced, let's draw the knees a little bit closer in and tuck the toes. Let's think about corkscrewing out the upper arms so that the creases point forwards. Thinking about lifting the chest, lifting the belly from the floor, and let's hover the knees just high enough that I could slip some paper under the knees. Now you can't really tell if I'm doing this because you can't really see, but I promise I am. Let's draw that corset in around the waist. Let's keep corkscrewing those upper arms so the eyes of the elbows point forwards, navel up to the spine. The shoulder blades slightly parted, so we've got that strength in the upper back. The neck is long, and then lower the knees and take a moment. We're going to do the same and then see if we can lift one hand. And it's the intention. And think about lifting from the shoulder, so it's a straight arm that lifts and lowers. Let's have a go. So tuck the toes, corkscrew open, the shoulders, elbow, eyes pointing forwards, toes are tucked. Navel to spine and float. From here, if we claw into 5 fingertips, have the intention of lifting one hand, straight arm, without moving it as little as possible. And let's try it with the other hand. Just floating enough for a paper to slip underneath and down. Let's try that once more. So toes are tucked, knees hovering. It's the intention, even if the hand doesn't leave the floor. It's a small movement. So we keep the knees a little bit closer into the chest than we would on all fours, just so that we have a little bit more engagement in the core. Let's try it with the toes. All right. So one foot. Start with the knees hovering, and then see if you can lift the toes so that just I can slip some paper underneath. Navel to spine, front wrists together, lower the toes. Take it to the other side. Lift. Lower. Amazing. So back on the heels and let's circle out those wrists. Onto the core, are you ready? Come on to your backs, hug the knees into the chest, And have a little rock on the spine. We're going to use the double leg stretch, so we're back to Pilates now. So let's start with the arms. Fingertips up to the ceiling, palms are facing each other. Don't worry about the legs initially. Let's think about breathing in as the arms come overhead, but as far as you can go, keeping the shoulders down away from the ears. As you breathe out, the arms return. So let's try that again, breathing in, breathing out. As we breathe in, we want to then try and keep the front ribs together. So think about pressing your lungs into the mat. Now let's extend the legs. So we're in tabletop. So as we breathe in, we're moving away from the center line, and we breathe out, we return. So let's stick with this. We only go as far as we can go, keeping a neutral spine. So if you're overarching the lower back here, let's rein it in a little bit with those knees. Keep the knees closer into the chest. And go for a smaller range of movement, breathing in here, breathing out to this starting point. So stick with whichever level you're going for. So you have to really concentrate so it becomes automatic, the idea of pressing the lungs into the floor so that we retain that strength in the upper abdominals. Chin sucks into the chest. You see so many muscles in the body here to stabilize the core with these long levers that we're moving so far away from the core. You can quite quickly build up a little bit of heat in the body. So 3 more. Doing well, nearly there. Last one. And hug the knees into the chest. Really well done. Let's come straight onto the side that you're already near. Facing forwards, we're going to straighten the top leg and think about 10 rapid circles. So floating so that the top leg's hip height, and we circle forwards 10, 9, 8, point the toes, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The other way, squeezing the glutes, bottom tuck, core strong, and circling back 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hug the knee into the chest. Hold the ankle and take the knee to the bottom edge of your mat and stretch out the quads. Give your foot a good squeeze here as well, especially if it's cramping up, as mine is. All right, flipping straight onto the other side. Let's start with those rapid circles. Your lower knee can be bent, top leg straight. Point the toes, rapid circles back for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The other way. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hug the knee into the chest. And then take hold of the foot and send the knee to the bottom edge of your mat. Stretching hip flexors and quads. Squeezing your feet. How often do you massage your own feet? They deserve it. Little bottom tuck here to make sure you're getting a nice hip flexor stretch. And then come on up to sitting. Let's just again think about those wrists because we're really loading on them on all fours. Let's hold the wrist, spreading the fingers, pull down, make a fist and circle. Take those circles the other way. And then the other hand. Hold, pull the flesh down. When you make a fist, it's really tight, isn't it, there? And then take a circle. So it really supports that circling of the wrist. And the other way. Shake out the hands, hold the shoulders, elbows together. Up and then peeling the shoulders back and then pressing the shoulders down away from the ears. 2 more, elbows together, up and then shoulders back and that chest wide open. Last time. Deep breath in, breathe out, long neck, shrug out, and there's your fast 30 minutes all over.